What's going on, everybody? Nelly and Baxter's Pokemon here with another deck profile. If you saw our last Sunday showdown, it was expanded format Darkrai, my funky Darkrai Turbo Box Thingamajig hybrid versus Nelly's version of Turbo Turtles. We are heading back into standard format, and I will be running a weird brainchild of mine. I call this my Silvally Psychic box, I guess. Now here's the thing is, when I first built this deck, I built the deck so that it would play around Mewtwo GX. But as I played, and Silvally was really just a support Pokemon, but as I continued to play the deck, I soon found I was using Silvally to fight way more. And so yeah, so it very quickly turned into a Silvally deck, and it's a lot of fun. I kind of almost in a way call this like the meta Slayer right now because of well, you'll see why. So anyway, let's start out. So the main attacker in this deck is actually Silvally. We run 3 copies of type Null. I would suggest that you use the type Null from Crimson Invasion because of, I forget the name of the first attack, but it takes 30 less damage from your opponent in the event that your Silvally is, or excuse me, your type Null is stuck out there. So again, I would use the type Null from Crimson Invasion, but all I had available was the one from Ultra Prism. So I'm not going to read through the attacks because we really don't use type Null to attack. Our main attacker is 3 copies of Silvally GX. This Pokemon is awesome. It is awesome. 210 HP. Yes, it is a normal type, so it will be one-shotted by Buzzwole and the likes of those kind of decks that are fighting type. But check it out. Gyro Unit. Your basic Pokemon in play have no retreat costs. That's why I put it in here. I teched it in here for Mewtwo, but I ended up using this card way more than Mewtwo. Turbo Drive. The attack is awesome, guys. 120 damage, and you get to attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. It could be an evolved Pokemon, it could be a basic, it doesn't matter. So you got a little energy acceleration along with attacking. 120 doesn't sound like a lot, but it does when you're hitting as somebody's weakness. The Rebel GX, this attack does 50 damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So if your opponent's loading up their bench, you're hitting for 250 damage, you're one-shotting anything out there. So our 3 copies of Silvally GX. I love the idea of the memories, which is how we hit high in this deck. So we have our 2 copies of Mewtwo GX. We use it for Full Burst or for Psystrike GX. Initially, when I built this deck, I was using it for Full Burst and Psystrike. And he's a good, I soon found that he was a good secondary attacker for this deck in the event that Silvally needs some help. So check it out. You hit Turbo Drive for a 120. You have a Mewtwo on your bench, you get to attach a Psychic Energy from your discard onto Mewtwo. Now, here's the thing is, theoretically, you can power up this Mewtwo GX in one turn. Let's say you hard attach on your turn. You hit a Max Elixir and attach there. You then hit Turbo Drive. On the following turn, your Mewtwo has 3 energy attached to it and it's ready to really hit for some decent amount of damage. But we do not run any choice bands. Originally, when I built this deck, there were choice bands, but since I have, and that was from Mewtwo obviously, but since I've changed it around to go towards more Silvally's direction, there are no choice bands in here. I was running Nihilego GX for a little bit of tech, a little bit of fun, simply for his ability. Empty Light. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may leave both active Pokemon confused and poisoned. The attack's not that great. He is our 3rd attacker, right? So if things aren't going right for Silvally, Mewtwo's not able to pick up the slack, then we have to rely on Nihilego GX. I am thinking of rebuilding and revamping this deck again, and I'm actually thinking of taking out the Nihilegos. It was just in there to have a little fun with the ability, but I'd actually maybe consider taking the Mewtwo's out and the Nihilegos out and throwing in an Espeon or a line or 2. 2 copies of Tapu Lele, obviously for Wonder Tag. one copy of the Oranguru with Instruct, simply so we can get cards into our hand. Now, this is my first time trying this Oranguru out, but let me tell you, he has really helped me. Simply for that, Fixer of the Forest, put 3 Pokemon tool cards from your discard pile into your hand. Get your memories back. So, very, very, very important Pokemon. Obviously, you don't want to start with him as your active. That's happened before, and that's brutal. At that point, I pretty much just give him up as a sacrifice as I build my bench up. But anyway, so yeah, main attacker guys, Silvally GX. There's the star of the show. Okay, so moving on. So we're hitting for 120 with our Turbo Drive attack. Keep that in mind. Here's our draw support. 2 copies of Professor Sycamore. Discard your hand, draw 7 new cards. 2 copies of Cynthia. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6. 2 copies of N. So a lot of consistency with this deck. 2 copies of N. Shuffle. Each player shuffles his or her hand into his or her deck. Then each player draws a card for each of his or her remaining prize cards. I could totally see actually going down 1 N and actually building it with 3 Cynthia and 1 N. So there's a lot of changes in my mind the last couple of days, but I built this deck for Sunday Showdown, so I will take this version of it into battle against Nelly. 1 copy of Skyla, because we have certain tools that we need to be able to get out in a timely fashion. 1 copy of Bridget. Ideally, you set up your Instruct Oranguru and 2 type Nulls, or a Mewtwo GX, a type Null, and an Oranguru. With Instruct, you don't want Fixture of the Forest Oranguru until you absolutely need them. 3 copies of Guzma to yank out our opponent's damaged Pokemon. Which, with Silvally's Gyro Unit, Gyro Unit gives our basics free retreat, so we can easily, let's say our Silvally's in our active and we need him to attack, we can hit Guzma, bring out bring out one of their bench Pokemon, bring our own basic Pokemon out, free retreat that, put your Silvally right back into attack. And then 1 copy of Acerola. This is an awesome card to run with stage 1 Pokemon because many times my Silvally's been hit for 180, 200 damage. But then I just Acerola and put the Silvally onto a type Null with energy on the bench, and bam, he's in the active and we've got a brand new Silvally ready to go. So that's our support lineup. Obviously, as you guys can see, pretty consistent. We've got 3 Guzmas, not many one-offs. Acerola, Bridget, and Skyla. I think those are only one-offs. 2 Ns, 2 Cynthias, 2 Sycamores. This deck really flies, man, when it's rolling. Okay, to search our Pokemon out, aside from Bridget, we have 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Pretty standard. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. Little bit of energy acceleration. Hopefully we can get our type Nulls going before they evolve into Silvally, our Mewtwo's, and so forth. You guys know by now, look at the top 6 cards of your deck. Find a basic Pokemon there, attach it to a basic Pokemon, or find a basic Pokemon. You find a basic energy attached to a basic Pokemon on your bench. Okay, here is where the fun begins. This is why I call it the Meta Slayer. No choice bands. We run memories. 2 copies of Fire Memory. Why? Duskmane, Necrozma. Anything that is metal out there, anything that is grass out there, Decidueye still lurking, Shining Genesect, not as much, but he's still lurking around there. Golisopod, yeah. So Turbo Drive goes from 120 to 240 damage, and you're got your energy acceleration going. So this is why I'm calling this the Meta Slayer. We got 2 copies of Fire Memory, 2 copies of Psychic Memory to deal with Buzzwole. Yeah, you guys see where I'm going with this, huh? And then we have the 1 copy of Fighting Memory. This is to deal with Zoroark GX. Alright. And I guess now Pachirisu Raichu. Yeah, so we got all our memories. Do you see now why it's important that we have our Fixer of the Forest Oranguru? Now, sure, I could take this into Expanded and use trainers to get my tools back, like Eco Arm. But I'm not playing. expanded. This deck is for standard format. There's nothing really in the standard right now that I'm aware of, trainer-wise, that will allow me to yank tools out of my discard and put them into my hand. So our Fixer of the Forest Oranguru is super timely, super necessary for our memories. Okay. All right, so we have our 1 copy of Fighting, because really you don't really run into too many main attackers being Zoroark in decks, but we double up on Psychic and Fire just because of what's being played right now in the meta. Okay, we run 2 copies of Field Blower just to get rid of any pesky stadiums or tools. We might need to get rid of our own tool. Might have the wrong tool on. We can blow away 1 memory and add another one. 1 copy of Special Charge, you got our DCEs back. We do run DCEs. 1 copy of Super Rod lets us shuffle a combination of energy and Pokemon from our discard into our deck. 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher, either put 1 Pokemon from our discard into your hand or shuffle 3 into your deck. These super scoop ups actually work twofold. One is so we can get our Nihiligos back up into our hand. Also is to get Lele up into our hand if we need to, rather than Acerola, if we need to get a supporter in a pinch. So yeah, super scoop up. Also to pick up our Silvallies if they're too much damage on them. Really, really fun playing this deck, guys. And our last item card is Pal Pad, just to get back any of those supporters that we might have had to toss away, like an Acerola or a Guzma. Okay, so there's the item lineup. Now remember I said I brought Nihiligo in just to kind of like mess around with the abilities or the special conditions. That's why I run 2 copies of Chaos Tower. That way I can flip it. Oops, sorry about bumping the camera, guys. I can flip it that way. That way I cannot be poisoned or confused, which is exactly what Nihiligo does. And the energy counts. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of Psychic Memory and 4 copies of Double Colorless Energy. So that'll do it, guys. That is my Silvally GX Psychic box thing. It's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun. Like I said, though, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take those 4 out and put in 2 EVs, 2 Espeon GXs. We'll see, though. And the star of the show, Silvally GX, and his little buddy, Typenol. Anyway, guys, that is what I'm taking to Sunday Showdown against Nelly and whatever she builds. She is very, very salty about the expanded format match. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm a little nervous. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me for this deck profile. Have an awesome day. Later.